wouldn't have happened. You wouldn't have gotten the truck full of money to the farmhouse, which was still there after he committed suicide. You wouldn't have killed all the bad guys there. In fact, you probably would have never met the girl or the farm or anything like that. I mean, it goes on and on and on. The inconsistencies of how everything remained the same, even though the original cycle, the loop cycle, was broken. Because for the loop, or the loop was broken at a young, then everything after the loop could not have existed. And it goes back into the very fantasy, Star Trek kind of Back to the Future kind of thing, where the timeline skews a little bit, and it can never be replaced. But what it can do is you can go back further and fix the events. Then it should go as normal. But here's the thing: but you could take my argument and says, well, what if he did and everything changed, and then the love of your life, because he didn't mean it, the love of the life became like the world dictator or something. I mean, it boggles the mind. I mean, it's a fun movie and everything. The concept, other than the occultic references of Satanism and all that, it was interesting. It was a neat little concept. Decent movie. But the ending was just like, what? Because then everything he did before wouldn't have happened. And the ending made little to no sense. And then like how the mom goes away with all the money that shouldn't have been there because the original old guy, is dead, so he didn't go through those 30 years with his wife, blah, 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 on and on and on. Doesn't make any sense. And then at the same time, because the mother was saved, then that Telka didn't create the world government and all this stuff. So then how would she have knowledge of the loopers? How would he even be there? How would he be... You see how this goes. It's a paradox in that. It's a paradox at all. But one of the most interesting aspects of the movie, man, this thing's going to have to be 2 parts. One of the most interesting aspects of this film, I think, personally, is not only the occultic references, but the paradox of the Mad Bomber. Okay. Now, this puts people in weird positions. And actually in television, for the longest time, they would not allow their good guy to kill somebody in cold blood. It was actually Magnum PI, Tom Selleck, that broke that with a very famous saying, "Did you see the sunrise this morning?" And if you ever see it on YouTube, check it out. That's actually a really good end to one of their episodes. But what it is, the paradox of the Mad Bomber is this. The Mad Bomber is going to go around and he's going to blow buildings, kill people. He knows it. You know it. You have no evidence to prove it. He's taunted you out of it. You can't hold him. So the question is, do you break the law to stop the Mad Bomber, or do you let him do his act, then stop? There's no right or wrong answer on this. That's unfortunately with law enforcement, that's one of the hardest things, when every fiber in your body is screaming, this person is going to do this. You don't do this, don't think here. They have to obey the letter of the law. Even though they know with probably 99% certainty something's going to happen. And there were a lot of films that touched on this. Dirty Harry was one. The original Dirty Harry. The one where he threw his badge in Marin County brickyards. He threw it in the water and walked away. Because that's actually a symbolism. Every time you see one of the films, Point Break did the same thing at the end. But every time you see a Clint Eastwood or character throw their badge in or something like that, it's a symbolism of rejecting the law with their people because they're not worth defending because they can't defend themselves. And that's the whole symbolism behind it. And now with in the Magnum PI reference, that was more where this Russian agent was taunting Magnum, said, "I had you for for like 4 months. I knew you better than your mother. I broke you in two, and you won't do this. You could kill me if I had a gun. I was coming at you, yeah, but you can't kill me in cold blood. And the thing is when you taunt someone, it's like poking someone in the chest. You keep doing it, and the things you think they won't do, you'd be surprised they'll do it. Um, and that's the whole paradox with this film, where here was the guy from the future knew, had the evidence, had everything to zero in on who this guy was, and within 1 out of 3, 30% chance he was right. If he took him out, you would have had the Antichrist, the Holy Terror would never have come, even if it was a child. And that's what the whole paradox is. And that's what I found that interesting. It's the first movie I think I've ever seen where it actually showed a cold-blooded killing with the intent of doing good. On that, I know Revenge of the Sith, Anakin just killed kids because they were Jedi, but this was different. This was kind of a different dramatic effect, because what he was hoping for is he kills the one kid, everything would go back to normal, and it didn't. But the thing is, according to this universe, even if he did kill that one kid, would it have anyway? Because they're ignoring just basic time travel laws. With the cultists, with the Rain Man and stuff, I thought that was interesting, and I think there's a definite hip-hop, rock and roll influence with this. Believing powers of that, and we're probably going to hear more and more about the Rain Man, Horus, a whole bunch of stuff, more so in television and movies and stuff. It's just unfortunate, because it's just another thing leading stuff astray. I mean, leading people astray. I mean, you can come up with your own conclusions. I'm just saying, look it up, read it, watch it on the Google, YouTube, you name it. These hip-hop artists say this in the concerts, and what it really means is completely different than what they think it means. And a lot of them know it, they just don't talk about it. Let's see. That's about it. That's about it. Man, this thing's gonna have to be split up in 2 parts, I know. Sorry about that. Yep, this is again Dinosaur. One more thing I will talk about. I'm going to be on an Insanity, that P90X Insanity, but I'll do the Insanity one quest to try to see what happens in 6 months. It's supposed to be 90 days, but I'm giving myself 6 months. So, see what happens. Because I need to get myself in shape. I've let myself go too long for Christmas. But anyway, this is Dinosaur, and we'll see what happens. We'll see how I talk about that later.